Today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about time. Time as a resource. Time as a limited resource. As a matter of fact, it's one of those weird things that you don't even know how much time you have. I'm talking about life, mortality. So let's say just an average amount of time someone has. Let's just say 80 years. You have 80 years worth of time, and that's it. And I watched this video of some dude. They called him I forget his name. It was something Penna. Anyway, he's got a bunch of videos now on YouTube talking about business, talking about personal growth, and well, basically how to get things done. Really interesting guy, very to the point. I like him. And he's talking about time as a resource. But as he didn't mention this part. This part that is the part that I ended up talking about. I'm sorry, that I ended up processing just listening to him talk. He looked like maybe he's in his 70s or something. I'm not sure. They might have mentioned how old he is. But, you know, he looks a little older, but still very aware. And I was thinking about time. So people who are older, let's say people in their 60s or 70s, as they get closer and closer to, well, inevitability, the end, right? The final dirt nap, I think is what people say. I would believe that the closer you are to, let's say, 80, the more your time is valuable because the less you have. The whole supply and demand deal. And well, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, this guy's in his 70s. He's still working. He says that he was doing he had 3 assistants. What are you doing being 70 years old, still working, and even while you're working, you got 3 assistants? What could you possibly be doing? What is worth your time? What could possibly be worth your time at that age working? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what his motivations are, but I would think family, right? Family. That's it. That's the only thing I can really think of. But I mean, for him, a high functioning, or at least a high, what would we say? A person that likes to produce, a high producer, is motivated by just getting things done, being successful, helping people, something like that. So maybe his legacy, maybe that's what he's working on, right? As you get closer to the end, I would imagine that you would start thinking about what's left. What can you do? Like legacy, and I guess, what am I trying to say? You know how Egyptians, a lot of the pharaohs, they thought about the afterlife and about leaving, not just leaving their body, but just living forever. I guess Christianity a little bit too. But for someone, I guess in his position with almost unlimited resources, he could do anything he wants, but he's still working towards a legacy, and I guess just in that sense, immortality. So he was discussing about time, and then I thought about the little he has left and what he's doing with it and how valuable time is. And then that got me thinking to people who are younger. Would it also apply to them? Well, I mean, sure, but in the same way, but because they have more time, time is not as valuable to them. Let me explain. So someone who's younger, let's say an adult, let's say someone who's 18 years old, maybe doesn't have a lot of resources. Maybe, well, the amount of time, they have more time than they do money, meaning they're willing to do more work for less pay because, well, they're just starting off. Their time isn't as valuable as now when I mean isn't as valuable, I mean financially valuable. I mean, yeah, anybody's hour isn't just worthless because there's some young you understand, you guys get it. You guys are smart. It's me pandering a little bit. Give myself some brownie points. Anyway, so a person who's younger has a lot more time, so is willing to spend that time on things that aren't as important to someone who would be older, like this 70-year-old gentleman. Like a kid, 18 years old, just spending time sitting on the couch watching TV, maybe knowing he can go out and work, maybe knowing he can go and accomplish something, but maybe he doesn't want to because we got plenty of time. We got all this time. And then that 7-year-old dude, no, he does not. And that got me to thinking, it seems like a cascade of things. They're just one to the other, to the next, hopscotching all the way through into this line of reasoning. But anyway, so that got me thinking to value, how there's no set value. There's no objective value for any one given thing. And that kind of bugged me for a little bit. Like, is that even true? I guess, I mean, whatever someone's willing to pay for one thing, someone else might be willing to pay something else. So there's no objective value that way. But the only thing that I can get to as close I can to something as with the objective value is time. Except for, again, time changes from when you're, the amount of value you have for time changes from when you're younger to you're older, or if you are younger to what you're producing. So it's not an exact value system for time, but it is the same for everyone, right? You can't increase the amount, you can't change time, so it's the same for everyone. Maybe people might experience it a little differently than others, but it's still 1 minute on the east side is 1 minute on the west side. So as far as time is involved, I was thinking, well, depending on how much your time is worth is going to also depend on how much time you're willing to put into some endeavor. Let me give you an example. The name of this channel is currently Think Excel. Now, I was putting a lot of thought into that. It wasn't the first thing that came up in my mind. It was a few different things, and then I funneled it down to just a handful of options. And then I was just today, like I was laying down thinking about what I wanted to name this channel, like what I was going to do, what I was going to say. It's like I have very little idea of where this channel is going to be, but I have an idea of more or less what I want to do. So what I think is going to happen doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to end up happening. Anyway, so I put a lot of time in this and that and thinking I want to make my first video. And then it turns out I start, wait a minute, how much time have I put into this? Just thinking about the name. And I'm like, I guess a lot of time. Then I started thinking, well, what's my cost for all that, right? Trying to put a value on the amount of time. Well, I could be making content. I could be making videos. I could be sharing this information, right? What are my goals? To have people view, to get attention, to build my business, hopefully here on YouTube. We'll see. I mean, I got the other channel. The other channel is mainly vlogs, and I'm doing okay. It's like $50 a month, I think, so far on AdSense, which is nice, which is cool. But yeah, I want to build this business. So I'm thinking, okay, how much time do I want to spend on this? And how much is my time worth? Well, the amount of time that I spent doing this stuff, I could have been making content. So it's worth, I couldn't even put a number on it, 10 times more, 100 times, 1,000 times more. If I were to have already picked a name and then moved on, like how much is this name going to end up giving me later on? Well, I don't know. Like I was saying earlier, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's like me trying to pick exactly what's going to end up happening now for what's going to happen in a year, 2 years. Like I can't do that. I'm not a mind reader. If you could do that, you'd be making a lot of money playing that lottery. People love that lottery, man. My mom loves the lottery. So what I'm saying is that how much, this is what I was contemplating, how much is that time, is my time worth? All that time that I was putting into it. And I was like, it's hard to figure out until I put it into perspective to what am I losing by not acting? And it turns out I'm losing a lot. And where am I at now in my life? And how much has that changed? Which is another thing I was thinking of. So I've been doing a lot of, well, I sell for a living. I sell online. I sell on Amazon, on eBay. I used to sell a lot on Craigslist. This is early on in my career. I would sell stuff at the swap meet. That was an interesting time. And as I was getting better, the more my business changed. So in the beginning, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. I barely knew how eBay worked, and and I didn't know what would sell and what wouldn't sell. And so I would just try and get a lot of stuff and then just get some repetition. And then I started figuring out, started niching down, is what they say. It's what the gurus say. And I ended up finding the things that I like to do and that sold. And then after accumulating enough, like at first I would buy more than I'd be able to sell. And so I get an accumulation of things at my house. So I got to the point where I'm just buying everything, and then I've started to slow down. Let me see if I can do it. I started slow. Wait, I don't even know. Anyway, I'm not good with this graph, and my screen's backwards. So I was trying to do for those of you just listening, I was trying to do a graph with my hand and represent it visually. It wasn't working. So I got to the point where I would look at an item, like I wanted to buy it for resale, and I would do the math on it in my head. How much is this item gonna make me? So if I purchase this item's gonna make me $5. Meaning all the time, like it's gonna take me time to not just purchase it, but take it home, take pictures, put it on eBay, list it, and then when it sells, ship it, maybe answer some questions. Anyway, when it's all said and done, it's gonna make me $5, let's say. And then I was thinking, why am I gonna spend, let's say this time, remember this video is about time. Let's say the amount of time it's gonna take me to do all that, it's gonna be, let's just round it, let's say 15 minutes. So I'm gonna make $5. I'm gonna change this 15 minutes for this $5. Now I guess that's a good amount of money depending on what kind of job you have. But then I compared it, right? That amount of money and time compared to what I have in my house. Well, in my house, I have, like I said, a lot of things still that I haven't sold yet, I haven't even listed. And in my house, I got stuff from more than $5. Like I have stuff that I can make $5 on, but I also have stuff that I can make 15, 20, 30, maybe 40. I think the 40 stuff probably the first thing I ended up putting on eBay. So I can spend 15 minutes to make 5, or I can spend 15 minutes to make 15. I looked at both these things and I went, you know what? I'm not even gonna bother with this right now. Right? This is gonna the amount of time. My time is now more valuable because I know I can put it over here and make more money. So the other stuff I'll just let go. Like my house is so full that this is just going to be a problem. It's going to cause me more problems than it'll solve. So my time from when I first started is more valuable to me now than it was earlier. And this lesson that I've kind of gone on about today that I've learned, especially with this whole name thing, is to figure out what your time is worth in the position that you're at. Like when I first started YouTube, I was just making a bunch of videos, a bunch of different things. And then just like the eBay thing, as I put more reps into it, the more information I was able to accumulate, and then I was able to adjust. That's been the big thing. I've been putting in reps and then adjusting. Reps and adjusting. Yeah. So today's video is about time, figuring out how much your time is worth, and then comparing it to what you could have been accomplishing if you didn't spend that time. There's probably an equation in there somewhere. I want to sit down and write this stuff out. Nice equation. No, I won't put one in here, but this is more of just a quick video. But I would like to, at some point in time, put some equations up, or maybe in the description or something. That'd be great. Anyway, appreciate your attention to this video. Thank you so much for subscribing. And well, you know, if you have any questions, just like everyone else on YouTube, hey, do this, do that, do 100 things. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Hey, thanks guys.